you very much, Mr. Chairman. They've called votes, and so I'll try to rifle through what I have. But first, I have to say congratulations to you, Commissioner McNamee. The Commissioner and I have worked together for many years at the state level, and I'm now glad to be able to work with you at the federal level as we go over a lot of issues. Appreciate the Commission's work on executing the rulemaking process for the Promoting Closed-Loop Pump Storage Hydropower Act, which was my bill from last session. Also appreciate the Commission-led workshop on closed-loop pump storage. That being said, Chairman McIntyre had a review going on about current pipeline approval processes based on the FERC 1999 standing policy. I would hope that you all would continue that. Chairman Pallone of this committee mentioned earlier about having two pipelines, going side by side, and the Commission doesn't look at that. That's one of the reasons why I introduced the Pipeline Fairness and Transparency Act. Maybe you need two pipelines going side by side or close together. Maybe you don't, but the Commission ought to be able to look at that. And I will tell you that one of the concerns that comes up there is affecting how landowners' rights are being considered. And I appreciate your comments earlier this year, and speaking with Commissioner McNamee, I know he's concerned about some of these issues too, that people at least get heard and know that somebody's listening, because it has seemed that sometimes there's some deafness, or in the past has been some deafness there. And I received this this morning from a constituent, and I'm just going to rattle it off and then give you whatever time we got left. Landowners dealing with siting of natural gas pipelines are frustrated, and we have no property rights in the current FERC process. There are lots of assurances that our rights are respected, and the companies advertise that they will work with landowners. However, our experiences prove all of that to be patently untrue. My experience is that they won't consider the needs of my family's existing business, a farm of over 117 years. We have asked repeatedly that they move the pipeline to the edges of our fields so that we can fully respect the pipeline as we go about our business. They insist on bisecting 9 fields and will destroy the terraces in one of our fields. They have the opportunity to move the line within our property, thus not affecting anyone else, but they won't. And the concern that, and she's getting hit twice, she lives in my district near the Mountain Valley Pipeline, and her property is a family farm that she hopes to retire to that's being dissected by the Atlantic Coast Pipeline. And so these are the concerns that people have out there. I know you can't fix everything, but she wants to know, and I do too, what are the FERC commissioners doing to understand landowners' rights, to make landowners believe that they see the documents that we file, that you all see, and to hear the statements that we make at hearings, and that those needs are being considered. And I know that you have some thoughts on that, Chairman, if you could very quickly.
Yes, sir. So I mentioned earlier we're trying to make some improvements to our website and our process. We do have a landowner hotline so that the Commission can be made aware of these kinds of considerations. I think we need to do better. We can do better. I think energy infrastructure is critical. It's important, but we have to ensure that we are respectful of landowners and their considerations and their rights. I also think it's incumbent upon project sponsors to be more responsive. The landowner and the project sponsor are going to have, a long-term relationship, and I think it's important that project sponsors be responsive and be respectful of these landowners' considerations.
Yeah, and I don't know the lay of the land, but when a farmer's telling me a family farm that's over 100 and some years in the family, you could move it on their property. It may be a little bit more expensive, but it seems to me that would be a reasonable accommodation.
And one thing that you have expressed to me in the past that I take very seriously is we need to do a better job at the Commission of hearing out people's concerns. And if that means if landowners are seeking, public comment, an opportunity to present their considerations to the Commission, we need to be responsive to that. My understanding is that you've been frustrated because in the past, maybe a few years ago, we weren't as responsive to that. I want you to know that you have a commitment from me that we are going to take those kinds of things seriously.
I appreciate that, and I yield back.
Thank you.
The chair now recognizes Ms. Custer.